There are some people, when you talk with them, they demand a certain amount of presence and engagement, where even though I'm 2 years older than she is, I'm like a kid when I'm listening to her. And I'm enamored because of the way that when she talks, we know she talks in parables. So you're not having I'm going to say regular, whatever that means, conversation, right? You are engaging with someone who demands, and she doesn't demand it, but right. But if you want to be in this conversation with her, you got to let everything out. And I was like, I'm downloading. It's like, it was all download and listening and being in awe and going, wait, what did that mean? Oh my God, I don't even know what that was. And trying to sort of grasp the little kernels that I could, because I know everything she was saying had meaning. Every single thing she said. There's nothing that's not meaningful when she's talking. So that for me was both exciting, and there was an aspect of it for me that was also, I no longer get scared about writing, but I get determined, and it's like, how am I going to capture what I just experienced and make sure that when it's on paper, the texture and the depth and the nuance and this complex, beautiful presence shows up, flat on paper. This is one of the reasons that the piece, even though it was translated, the Creole had to be there, for example, because when she talks, she speaks in Creole. I'm not going to just use my voice and my English translation, and this is before the translated piece. It was imperative to me that it starts with her words, and that throughout her voice was as present, so that we can distinguish between my interviewing her, the comments and narrative parts that were mine, and then when we were in this sort of dialogical process. And I think we did that because we had that excellent readers and excellent editing. So that, it's one of those moments where and I feel like I could talk to her forever. And I think one of my most happiest and just, not even frustrating, just how silly I am in terms of what I don't know, was when she said something about "baon plume," and I was like, "What is baon plume?" And it was Madame Jacqueline, who's the priestess, who was like, she said she's not a pen, and that's because that's the direct thing that I heard. "Baon plume, plume, pen." And Madame Jacqueline said, "Non, ma chère, plume, feather." I went from pen to feather. And then that understanding of feather had a huge religious component to it. Because when you heard the whole sentence, she said, "Papa mte ougan, mba mabo, papa mte ougan, et puis grand-père mte ougan." I think that's, if I remember correctly. My father was a priest and my grandfather was a priest. I'm not a feather, right? So she's basically saying, I got backup. But all I heard was, I'm not a pen. Until Madame Jacqueline was like, "No, ma chère." It's like, this is why I miss her. She said, "No, ma chère. No. That's not what she's saying. She's not saying she's not a pen. She's saying she's not as light as a feather. She's got spiritual lineage. She's got spiritual backup and power." And I said, okay.
She's not a lightweight.
She's not a lightweight. She's not a lightweight.